now let's look at the last part of your innate immune system, and this is going to be dealing with fevers. So, okay, so we're looking at what a fever is and what it's dealing with. The basic definition of a fever, it's an increase in your set body temperature, so 98.6, okay, by 1 degree C. So normally, if you're going to go with centigrade, then your normal body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade, which is 98.6. Increasing by 1 degree centigrade would be 38 degrees centigrade, or 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit higher as well. So that's the definition of what a fever is. Now, what causes a fever? Basically, well, agents or something in your body releases fever-inducing chemicals, and those chemicals are called a pyrogen. Now, think of a pyromaniac, okay? Somebody who lights fires or something, pyro heat. So a pyrogen is a chemical that's producing heat. The chemical is not producing the heat, but it causes the heat changing, okay? Now, a pyrogen can come from an infectious agent like a bacteria. It can come from immune cells in response to an infection. It can be from drug reactions. It can be even a brain tumor, okay? So when I talk about a brain tumor, why would a brain tumor do this? Well, one of the things, the temperature regulating center of your brain is going to be your hypothalamus, okay? So somehow the pyrogen is going to affect the hypothalamus. And when we look at stages of a fever, there's going to be 3 stages that we're looking at. But let's look at this real quick. So let's look at, let me just say we're drawing a bacteria here, okay? So this is a bacteria, and it is secreting let me do this in green. So those green dots would be a pyrogen, okay? Okay, and that's a chemical that is going to induce the fever. So how does it get to the hypothalamus? So here we have our blood capillary, okay? Pyrogens make its way into your blood vessel. Blood's going, if I can get the right color here, the blood's traveling in a direction. So your pyrogen is getting carried in your bloodstream, and it works its way to your hypothalamus. Okay? And the pyrogen causes the hypothalamus to reset its temperature, okay? Normally, your thermostat, internal thermostat, is 98.6 degrees or 37 degrees centigrade. And it says, no, we want 99.5, 99.9, something, okay? Something that increases that. So it's resetting your thermostat. Just like in your house, if it gets too cold, you turn up your thermostat, kicks on the furnace, it warms up. Same thing with this. We're just resetting the thermostat and says, okay, instead of 75 degrees, we want it at 78 degrees in the house. That's all that the pyrogen is doing. Now, there are 3 stages to fevers, okay? Stage 1 of your fever is going to be your onset. And your onset is basically the starting point where we increase our temperature. And how we do that? Well, we are going to vasoconstrict the blood vessels, the dermal blood vessels in your skin. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, your blood is typically more warm than the surrounding tissue. So it's a conduit for moving temperature around. So if you exercise and you get warm and your face gets red, it's because your muscles are contracting, generating heat, and we have to dissipate that heat, otherwise you cook yourself. So the blood vessels in your skin will dilate, brings more blood to the surface of your skin, thus the redness. It's warm because you got blood, but then it radiates the heat off. Now, if we were to do the reverse of that and we constrict those blood vessels, we're not allowing that heat to radiate off, but we are keeping that heat inside. Okay? So that is one thing that does. This is where a person shivers. Now, shiver is just a muscle contraction. Okay? When you contract muscles, muscles are an engine. It generates heat. So not only do we vasoconstrict the blood vessels on your skin, but now we're shivering, we're generating heat, and that stays inside. And this is where the person would say, I feel chills, okay, I'm cold, even though they have a temperature. They say they feel cold, all right? So let's look at something on a graph. And let's say this line here is your normal temperature, 98.6, okay? So what we're looking at is this is your normal temperatures going along, and then we have some kind of an agent that has a pyrogen, releases it. It's going to spike up. So this is, let's say 100 degrees, okay? So we get up to this area. This section is onset, okay? That's the part of your first stage of this. Your second stage is called stadium. Okay, and that is where your temperature is being maintained at a level. So if we're going to be doing this here, then it's kind of doing one of those. Let me move this over. Then it's kind of plateaued, if you will. And the reason for this is it increases the metabolic activity of your immune cells in your innate and adaptive immune system. And that helps to remove the foreign substances from your body. The other thing it does is at the stadium stage, it tells the liver and the spleen to hold on to iron and zinc. Now, iron and zinc are needed by microbes to replicate. So if we're not giving the microbes the substances that it needs in order to replicate, then replication is going to slow down. And that's what we want. We want to increase our metabolic activity in the stadium state, and we want to slow down by not giving it iron and zinc for the microbes to do it. So that's going to be the stadium. The third one is called defervescence. Let me make sure I Vessence, defervescence, something like that. And what this is basically where the temperature then comes back down. So this is stadium, and this is defervescence, Defeverence, something like that. Okay, and this is basically where the temperature is coming back down to normal. The hypothalamus is no longer being stimulated by pyrogens, so your set point goes back down to 98.6. This is where your blood vessels in your skin dilate again, because we now want to get rid of the heat. Okay, this is where the person can sweat. They feel hot. Okay, so those are your three stages. Now, the benefits of this is for your fever, increased temperature slows the replication of the bacteria and viruses. So one, you get rid of the iron and zinc, and it slows it down from replicating. Well, it also stimulates or promotes interferon activity. Okay? It increases the activity of lymphocytes, your immune cells. It accelerates tissue repairs. It stimulates or increases CAMs, cell adhesion molecules. Okay, so if we slow down the growth rate of bacteria and we're speeding up or stimulating our immune responses, so we're getting faster here while we're slowing this down, this is the direction that we want to go. We want to get rid of it faster than they can replicate. It's when they replicate faster than we can address it, that's where the problem comes. Now, the risks from having a fever is, if you have a temperature above 100 for too long, you can denature proteins. Your body needs those, so you can't have too high of a temperature for too long. Seizures can be above 102, above 106. You can have brain damage. Most doctors, if the temperature is a low-grade fever, just let it ride out, but you don't want a fever for too long on that. So that's going to be the last part of your innate immune system is going to be fever. And then next up, just start looking at the adaptive immune system videos.